The silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet.
Good afternoon. You are tuned into Ability Matters, a program that covers matters to do with abilities, disabilities and everything in between. Ability Matters is one of the longest running disability-related programs in the whole wide world. Starting as Headway On Air in 2007, you can now listen to podcasts of previous Ability Matters programs on YouTube and Spotify. Just search for Ability Matters. Ability Matters is brought to you by My Home Living Care, an NDIS registered disability support organisation.
Yes, thank you very much, Sean. Sorry about those slight technical difficulties there, people. You're here with Beck this week. I'm running the other side of the desk for the day. And I'd like to thank Tim for his past 2 hours of Through the Past Darkly. Done very well. Love your music. I do have with me today a special guest. She is Nicky from the CEO, she is the CEO of Community Industry Group.
Hey Beck, lovely to be here with you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start off the hour with a little bit of music and just give everyone a heads up so they're aware. I'm calling it Ladies' Day because we're all ladies here, and so we're going to play a lot of ladies' music.
Oh, and I can see the first one's really good.
So here we go with a bit of Aretha Franklin and RESPECT. Can't go wrong with a bit of Aretha to start off the hour. So we're here on your Tuesday lunch day, Ability Matters on VOX FM, and I'm here with Nicky from Community Industry Group. How are you going?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me back again, Beck.
Not a problem. So I thought I'd jump straight into our questions that we've got this morning. And I'd just like to ask you if you could remind us about Community Industry Group's role and what who they work with, what they do.
Yes, thanks. Because I know that our organisation's a little bit unusual because we don't deliver any services. We are a peak body. And our job is to represent all of the wonderful service delivery organisations that are out there. We are absolutely and proudly representative of the not-for-profit sector. And so our members are people like aged care providers, disability providers. I know Flagstaff, who you work for, one of our wonderful members, but also people like Greenacres and the Disability Trust and CRAM, the CRAM Foundation, and so many other great disability providers. But also youth and homelessness and women and domestic violence services and children and family services. It's a really broad brush. And we represent them all the way from Helensburgh up in the north right down to the Victorian border. And wow. I know it's a really big footprint. And our job is really to, well, firstly and most importantly, support them and make sure that they're running good, strong, viable services, because we all know that people need, their service provision wherever they are. But the other is to work with government and to let government know what's happening for those organisations and what's happening for the people that they work with, so we can inform some government policy and hopefully make things more positive for everybody.
Keep them on their toes.
Yeah, certainly. And we're based in social justice, and I love that you used the song Respect as the first song, because for me that's what social justice is all about. It's about respecting each other, and when we do that and we're in a society that's fair, then we're going to be inclusive and make sure that everybody's got what they need.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you. That was actually quite a detailed description. I like that. Do you have any big projects coming up this year?
Oh, look, every year is a really busy year for us, and we always try and make sure we bring lots for our sector. I'm sure that, you've probably heard the work that we've been doing around bed block.
Yeah, I have, actually. I watched a podcast of you the other week doing bed block.
Yeah, oh, excellent. Yeah. Yes, well, podcast is another thing that we're doing for the first time. We're doing podcast and podcast, so people can either just listen to it or they can watch it as a video. I'm getting some great guests in, and really what we're trying to do is talk about the issues that are impacting our sector or our region or our people, and do it in a way that's really short but makes it really easy to understand.
Jam-pack all that information in a short amount of time. I like it.
And also do it in plain English, Do it
true, because people are so time poor these days, and anything you can do to give them that information sharp, short, and in one little time slot, that would be awesome and help so many people.
Yeah, and do it, when it suits you. So you can listen to it in the car, or you can, do it while you're doing your morning exercise, or, watch it while you're working, on your computer. So there's lots of options, but really it is about cutting through the noise, talking about an issue and doing it really, really simply. So my hat's off to you, because I hate the process of recording a podcast. It feels very, it's a bit scary, but
No, you came through very, very well. Very polished. It was lovely.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear from a pro who's been doing it for a while. Look, we're doing lots of other great things. The bed block issue will continue, and we've been doing some really good research. I don't know if you know, but bed block, we have the worst bed block in the country here in the Illawarra Shoalhaven.
I was a bit interested in that, because a lot of people aren't aware that the reason you may not be able to get a bed in hospital is because there's a person that needs that bed that just doesn't have anywhere to go.
Exactly. I mean, effectively they're homeless because they've been to hospital, they've had whatever it is treated, but they're not allowed to go home to their own home, and there isn't a residential place for them. They're technically homeless, and it's about 1 in 5 hospital beds across the Illawarra Shoalhaven now.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a big impact for our health sector. It's a big impact for the community when they need a bed. And it's a really big impact for those people who are living in hospital, Oh,
I can't imagine. I had a 7.5 month stay when I was in hospital, and I can tell you, after the first week, I was like, when can I go home?
Yeah, it's a great place to go when you're sick, but it's not where you want to live your life.
No.
And the people who work there are wonderful, but people, when they're bed blocked, they get moved around a lot because the hospital needs the bed, so they get moved wards, and every time they get moved, it really affects them.
It's a bit of that upheaval that nothing really continues. It's just a constant change of environment, and I suppose people that you have to start a new relationship with because you've got all new people in the room.
Yeah, that's right. And you get very deconditioned when you're moved, so you lose your mobility. And so that will be a big one. But I've got some fun stuff coming up too. This year I'm looking at doing a social justice address around the middle of the year. Yeah, I'm looking at bringing the wonderful Craig Foster, who was, many people would know, was a former Socceroo and also a broadcaster on SBS, sports commentator, but did all that amazing work around bringing the Bahraini soccer player who'd been wrongfully arrested in Malaysia. He did a lot of work about bringing him home, and since then has gone on to do amazing social justice work.
Oh, he sounds like an interesting person to hear what he has to say.
Yes, I have huge social justice crush on Craig Foster.
We'll get back into it. I'm just going to play a quick song now. So I've actually got one of my favourites, a little bit of uplifting music, I think. A bit of Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Enjoy. There we go, Cyndi Lauper with Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I know that nearly every girl I know just wants to have fun. So we're going to get back into some of those projects. We have a couple more that you'd love to mention, so feel free to say whatever you like about those things. They're great initiatives that you've got there.
Thanks so much, yes. Well, one of the ones I wanted to tell everyone about was our Careforce project, because we're really looking to attract more and more people to come and work in the community services sector, and particularly in aged care. I think that, I think there's been lots of stories about how much workforce we need in aged care. It's only going to grow, and there's some great careers right across our industry, as you well know.
So true, so true.
and a real range of careers. So the Careforce project is all about how to recruit people into our sector, how to promote our great range of jobs that we've got available, and then how to keep good people in their jobs, because that's really important.
Well, definitely, because it's wonderful to get people in these positions, but then there's got to be some kind of incentive, I suppose, where they want to stay. And a lot of people go in with intentions of what they want to do, but then they get in there and it's totally different. So I think that could be a really good way to start off. This is what you're in for. Just be prepared.
I think it's a really good point. I think being realistic is a really good point. And I think the other thing is, for employers to realise every time we have to recruit and train somebody and get them on board and whatever, it's really expensive. So it's much cheaper to keep an employee when you've got them than it is to go out and recruit again. So
Definitely.
And then I just really wanted to mention our Community Services Awards.
They're awesome.
They are so good. It is such a great opportunity. We do them biennially. So this is the year.
Yes, I was actually wondering where was that last year?
Yeah, no, they're biennial awards. It's a really big job to put them on. But, we really, really want to recognise all the amazing people that work in our sector and the work they do, and, whether they work in the sector or volunteer in the sector, whether they're on our boards or whether they're our leaders. I think we just want to recognise the individuals and recognise the organisations that work in this sector. So, and it's a great night, good chance to frock up.
Is. I even got to wear pearls.
Yeah.
I felt a bit like, ooh la la.
That's right, our last one was our 30th anniversary, so it was a pearl theme.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. So I suppose the next one I would like to ask you, it's more of a statement really, but then you can tell me all the wonderful things that you're going to be advocating about. There's going to be a federal election this year. What are some of the big issues you'll be calling out in the election process on behalf of people doing it tough in the region?
Yeah, thanks. Yes, it's a big year. Election year is a big year, and it's a federal election, so we're going to focus on federal issues. I think, firstly, one of the big issues is the current inadequacy of income support. People who are living on things like job seeker or youth allowance are technically living below the poverty line, and it is not okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No.
It is not okay that just because you are unable to find a job or can't work for any range of reasons, we shouldn't be keeping you under the poverty line.
Yeah, it shouldn't be made to, well, you're going to have to try and get some kind of job.
But it's really hard to get some kind of job when when you haven't got enough money coming in and you're trying to worry about paying the rent and how you're going to feed your kids.
There's so many things that people, I don't know, some people, I don't know if they have blinkers and they just see what should be, but what is a totally different thing, I think.
Well, that's right. I think, when we keep people so poor, we get them focused on day-to-day living instead of looking out to get a job or maybe go to TAFE and get some education or something.
Yeah, do something out of that normal realm of what they do.
Yeah, but, it's really hard to apply for a job if you can't afford to have Wi-Fi or a computer to do the application, or you can't afford the transport. You certainly wouldn't have a car. You can't afford the transport to get to a job interview.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of different restrictions on those different things. I think that there's a lot more involved in, some people go, well, just get a job, but it's not that simple. There's a lot of different key factors that go into actually getting that job and holding that job and being able to go and do that every day when you've got so many pressures on you from the everyday things that you have to handle.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be one. I think housing and homelessness, I don't think that'll be a surprise to anybody. That's a problem, yeah. Housing and homelessness is a big area for us. We need far more social housing. We desperately need social housing. We need it to be public social housing through the New South Wales government, but really we want investment in community housing, in local community housing providers, because they're not-for-profit organisations who exist to make sure that people have a good, safe home, and they wrap around services around those people who are living in those homes. So really important. If it's okay to go on, transport. I touched on it before, but access to transport across our region, it's really inequitable. Some people...
if you don't live in the right place, you just can't get that. It's not just down the road, it's a good kilometre walk or something, depending on where you live.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when you think about this region, up north, people have a free bus. Down south, often people don't have a bus at all. Certainly the train doesn't go beyond Bomaderry. Yeah. And it really impacts people's lives. I've already talked about not being able to get to a job interview, but even for people who do have a job, without access to transport, they can find it really difficult. And we hear stories, we heard a story that's really quite heartbreaking about a young man with a young family who lives down in the Bay and Basin area and got a job, which was fantastic, at South Nowra, but the family only has one car, and because it's a long way from Bay and Basin to South Nowra.
That's a good drive, yeah.
It's a very good drive, and petrol's expensive, and they couldn't afford the petrol, so he was taking their only car and driving to work and then sleeping in the car a couple of nights a week to try and save money. But, then the impact on the family, they can't get around,
Yeah, it has a flow-on effect.
It does. So I think social isolation is a big thing. When people don't have access to transport, they get stuck at home. It's not easy to get out into the shops, to go to the doctors, to do any of those normal things, let alone go and spend some time with family and friends.
No, so true. I'm going to play a bit of a song for us now. It's quite funny. It has a bit of a theme because I work on the We Belong project down at Flagstaff, but we're going to play it. So here we go with We Belong, Pat Benatar. There we go, Pat Benatar with We Belong. That was a great song. I really enjoyed that song.
Fantastic.
Okay, so we're going to get into, because there were a couple more topics that you would love to have covered when you're talking to the people for the federal election. So what else did we have there?
Oh, well, look, domestic and family violence, it continues to be an issue, and it's a big issue in our region. So definitely advocating for more funding to support people who are escaping domestic and family violence, and particularly around housing, once again, to make sure they've got somewhere safe to go and somewhere safe to live. Workforce across our sector, I know I said we're going to do some work in the workforce area, but it is a huge issue, and we'd really love the federal government to be investing in that. Food insecurity, we're just hearing more and more and more people, even working people, who are food insecure. So when they don't have enough money to buy food, they also often don't have money to buy medicines and things like that, and it can lead to terrible outcomes physically, with your health, but also it leads to things like social isolation because people become quite embarrassed and want to hide away.
So true.
And it's not their fault if they can't afford food. So, and that really leads overall, I think we live in a really unequal world these days. When you look at the top 5 earners in Australia earn more money than the bottom 95%. There's something wrong.
Totally.
There's something wrong. And in the world, that there are billionaires who could end world hunger if they wanted to, and they don't. And we'll continue to call out inequality. Everybody deserves a fair go.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to quickly play some short messages, and then we'll be back on the other side with some more information from Nicky. She's given us a lovely array of different things that we're going to look forward to hearing more about. I'm working with people at Flagstaff to do with Braille and things like that, because there's just not enough of that around, and I think that's a large portion, or not a large, but a decent portion of the community that we're just not getting to and we're not reaching. So I definitely am in favour for more Braille.
Well, and when you think about the song that you played, We Belong, everyone belongs, and so we need to make the world more accessible to people so they can be included.
So true. I would love to ask you now another question. What about the issues impacting the social and community services sector?
Yes. Well, yes, we're of course on top of those. I mean, workforce we've talked about. I think I'll leave that one as said. But workforce, we need more people to come and work with us. Housing for our essential workers. What we're finding now is that access to housing is actually becoming a structural barrier to people coming to work. So I just recently appeared at the New South Wales inquiry into essential worker housing. It was a Senate committee inquiry. And before I went, I just rang around a few of our members to ask them about their experience of housing for their workforce. So these are people who've got good jobs, go to work every day.
Yeah.
One of our homelessness providers was telling us that some of the people that work for them are living out of their cars.
Oh, that's just not on. No.
We hear more about the working homeless every day. So, yes, these are people who are delivering homelessness services to people who are homeless, and actually they're homeless themselves.
Which wouldn't give them a great feeling.
No.
No, at the end of the day.
No, to go home to your car. Not much fun.
No.
And then, our aged care providers, they've had so much trouble. I rang a few of our providers and they are actually having to house their workers themselves. So they're either renting houses, they're buying houses, or they're putting their workers into the properties that should be for older people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big issue?
It's huge because it means, they have to have workers to provide the service, but if they spending all their time housing the workers, that's coming away from the service they would deliver, So just talking to a few of our providers, they are housing over 400 of their staff.
Wow.
In 250 properties there. That is a big amount of money off their balance sheet. It's a big amount of money off their profit and loss where they could actually be delivering service with it. And they're running real estate agencies on top of
seems like it's a bit of
their care.
Combination,
They want to be care providers and they're running real estate agencies. So it's a really big issue. Regulation and red tape is a really big issue. You know, our members, our great service providers, they are really highly regulated, and we really welcome, that we've seen some royal commissions that have said that things have not been good, and so we do welcome some changes, but I think we really need to balance that out. We need to make sure that people receiving service are safe, but we also need to make sure that the people who are delivering service aren't spending all their time filling in forms.
And they're able to deliver that service, because sometimes there's some restrictions around that too.
There absolutely is. So we really think we could be cutting down on that red tape. I think financial sustainability is a big issue. You know, I feel so passionately about these wonderful organisations, as you know, Beck.
Yeah, you do a great job.
But, these are great community organisations that often have been built from the ground up by people who just see a problem and come together and solve that problem. But the way that the finances are now, and our aged care providers, most of them had not made any kind of surplus. In fact, they'd made losses for about 6 years running.
Wow.
So it meant
that word. It's blowing my mind.
But that means that, they can't keep going. And we've seen, more and more are closing. Great long-term service providers are closing down. And, we've been lucky in this region that some of them have been bought out by other providers or been rescued by other providers. So we've seen things like the multicultural aged care was taken over by Warrigal and rescued by Warrigal, Marco Polo by IRT, Blue Haven just recently, also by Hall and Pryor. But it just speaks to these. We've got to value those really core assets in our community and keep those organisations going strong, because where would the world be without a Flagstaff?
True.
Even without a VOX, when we think about it, it's a great not-for-profit service, and we need to make sure that they're all financially viable.
They're looked after, yes. Right, we're going to cut in and we're going to play it Shakira with Whenever, Wherever. Enjoy, everyone. There we go, Shakira. Oh, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That was Shakira with Whenever, Wherever. Enjoy the music. Okay. Actually, just love it so much, I'm just going to keep playing it.
Loving all this girl power music.
So I just wanted to touch on the end of that question, because there was a few more different areas that you'd like to address and what the issues are. So could you please let us know what the rest of those were?
Yeah, sure. The other things that we need to think about that are impacting our wonderful human services or community services, I think one of the things is demand. That's one thing we don't lack in our sector.
No, very, very, it's busy.
It's always really busy. But what we're finding now is that demand's exceeding capacity, and nobody in our sector wants to turn anybody away. I know, Beck, that you're on the board of one of our wonderful providers, and I know that you know how many people come to those services, and
it's quite a lot. Yes.
Yeah, and what they need, and when we aren't able to deliver on that, there's nothing nice about turning people away. So yes,
really.
And then I think really tied to that is that we're seeing changes in the things that people need in terms of support. And our neighbourhood centres and community centres, when I think about those, largely set up as places for people to come together. They can, deliver some programs and some great things that challenge social isolation and build community connection. But increasingly they're getting people coming to them who need food, who are literally starving. They're increasingly getting people coming to them in desperate circumstances, needing food. So many of them have had to set up things like food pantries, so that they've got something to give people when they're desperate. And the other is energy poverty. You know, the cost of energy is so high. And so many of our community centres give energy vouchers out, but, they're provided by the state government, so they are quite limited. But, when people can't pay their energy bills, it really threatens their tenancy. They worry about losing their house. So, I would say we're really seeing a change across our region, and I think that we just need to make sure that government is aware that, when people are doing it tough, somebody's got to step up there, and
they do. They've got to talk up and say, "Look, this ain't right."
And our wonderful service providers, our wonderful neighbourhood centres and community centres, and our aged care and our disability providers, many of them are just too busy doing the work to be able to stand up to government and say what needs to happen.
And that actually leads into the next question that we've got. So, how do you advocate for some of these issues? How do you do what you do so well?
Well, I don't know if I do it well, but thank you. Well, first of all, I've got to give a big shout out. Of course, I've got a team of people that work with me at Community Industry Group, brilliant policy workers who really help me to work with the sector and to work with government. So absolutely, big shout out to them. They're
so true that there's too many names to rattle them all off at once, but you do a great job, and we're proud of the work that you do.
Oh, thank you. Yes, they are a wonderful team. But things that we do, we stand up, on behalf of the sector. We do it like today, do it on the media. We'll often be on the radio or in the newspaper or on the TV, because often we can say things that our members can't say because they're worried about maybe their government funding or or their perceptions. But we were set up just to say things without fear or favour, so we often are the spokesperson. We certainly go and like my life is meetings. We go to so many meetings, but that's where we go there to represent the sector, so that they don't have to go to all the meetings. We're on any number of advisory boards and reference groups and a whole range of different task force and things that just make sure that the messages from our sector and the messages from the people they work with are always there being thought about.
Okay, so I'm actually going to turn out a few tunes at the end here. I'm going to play one that's a little bit longer than usual, but it's a really good song. So we're going to play the Eurythmics and Aretha Franklin. Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. So there we go, the Eurythmics with Aretha Franklin. Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. So thank you very much for coming on today and sharing all that great information with us, Nicky. I don't think that people realise there's so much that goes on behind the scenes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Beck. I really appreciate it.
And I think we may get you back again in a couple of months further down the track just to hear some of those wonderful things that you initiatives that you've been talking about and see how you went with the federal election.
Oh, yes, I'd love to. I'd love to come and catch up.
No worries.